Alright, so for my first video on this channel, I thought I would go into a little detail on a problem I have not found a whole lot of info on regarding these old trucks. This one's a 1984 Dodge W250 with a 318. I've noticed that between different years in this body style, there's slightly different fusible link sizes and quantities. In this truck, it was a 16 gauge, an 18, and then two 20s. I had the 16 burn out. I've seen a lot of different videos on different ways to replace these. Most people go to a fuse panel, kind of like this. I use this for another purpose. I think they're great, but these do have a purpose. And I don't think getting rid of them is necessarily the right move. They were there for a reason. So I just wanted to show how I fixed it real quick. Right here at this junction, this is where the infamous duck foot sits. Little rubber duck foot shaped deal that houses all 4 or 5 or 6 or however many of these fusible links you have and leads them all back into this one power source. Now if you actually cut into the duck foot, hold on, I think I still have it over here. Yeah, so if you cut into it, what you'll find is just this metal band, if you will, pressure fitting, coming from your main power right there that connects it to all 4 of those fusible links. And you can see the amount of corrosion and nastiness that get built up inside of this, which I think is what caused that fusible link of mine to burn out. Anyhow, I think this is pointless. In all reality, I'm sure they put it in there initially to prevent corrosion and give it a more tight seal. It did its job, I suppose, for 30 plus years, but eventually it's bound to fail. So get rid of that. What I did here, even though you can't see it, I probably should have videotaped it before I did it all, was I soldered both power to the fusible link. So it's a solder connection, same for these 3 on this end, coming to the power from the harness. And then it's heat shrink electrical tape, and I always use liquid electrical tape on top of that. It looks like hell, but I found that the liquid electrical tape on top prevents this from unspooling over time, if you will. I had a Jeep, I had that on for, God, probably 10 years, and it looked about the same as the day I did it, so although it's not the prettiest way of doing it, I found it to be effective. And if you use enough on the ends here and here, I've also found it to be watertight, and I've never had an issue with corrosion. So that was my fix. Buy fusible link of the proper gauge. You're going to make sure you do that. I believe the rule of thumb is 4 sizes less than the wire it's leading into. Just replace it, solder it. If you don't know how to solder, learn. You could use crimp connectors or wire nuts or something else, but I really wouldn't recommend it. It's not the best mechanical connection for something of this nature that really is so important to the vehicle. Now, just to show you real quick, wiring wise, it looks like a mess, but it all does serve a purpose. I have another one of these fuse panels in the cab I use for switch power as well as a subwoofer and some other accessories. So this here leads to that. This is just a maxi fuse under here, 80 amp. That way if you're ever drawing too much as a whole, it'll pop that. These blocks are rated for 100 amps in total, 30 amps per circuit. So I think really I probably don't need this. That's maybe overkill, but I'd rather have more fuses than less and be safe than sorry. So this is what that leads to, is that fuse panel inside the truck. This red lead here just leads to that panel there. Negative leads over to the battery terminal here. I replaced the little strap they had with a thicker gauge wire, as it just seemed a little chintzy, and mine was corroded all to hell, so I got rid of that. This is the negative cable that comes off that panel inside as well. And then these are, of course, the power wires for the truck, and this purple one here with another fusible link down here. I haven't done anything with this yet because it hasn't caused me any issues, but when it comes to it, I'll probably eliminate this plug style connector here. If anybody knows why they did it this way, maybe it was just at one time they sold replacement fusible links with this plug connector. I have not found them, so if it ever causes me issues, I'll probably just eliminate it and go to my solder method, do it that way. Otherwise, yeah, I just wanted to show that there are alternatives to just using a fuse panel. You can just replace these, and if you do it right, it should last for a long time and not give you issues. Otherwise, I do love these fuse panels. This one's a Blue Sea Systems. I recommend buying a good quality one. They make wiring aftermarket accessories like the electric cooling fan I have on my radiator a heck of a lot easier, and gives you a real fused outlet there instead of just connecting it to a battery terminal and using an inline fuse or something like that. It's a lot more convenient, even though this doesn't look very clean. I'm still in the process of cleaning it up after I've done a lot of this. It does help out. So any questions, comments, please feel free to add them. Like I said, this is the first video of the channel. There'll be more to come, not necessarily on the truck, but just things I come up with and do in general. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it helps with your project, and like and subscribe if you found this information useful.